It was early in the morning, only 3 o'clock. There was no light in the neighborhood houses. The window of my workroom was the only lighted one. It was cold, but sometimes I like to work with the window open, looking at the stars rest, and soothes the Nime, as if one would listen to a very old and very dear melody. The only rumor that disturbed the silence was the gentle scratch of my pen on the paper. Soon a crunch in the chair in front of me. The chair that those who come to chat with me always occupy. What a weirdest noise, crunchy, just as if someone had seated. What? It's like believing in something ghostly. But no, that man didn't have anything ghostly. Those rough-skinned hands with the clearly marked veins were very real, very much of this world. The clothes he wore were also something concrete, tangible, though made of a material such as I had never seen, neither wool, cotton, nylon, nor any other plastic. I raised my eyes, and my gaze met his. He averted his eyes, and for a moment he looked at the furniture, the books, the pictures on the wall. I'm on Earth, I guess. I couldn't answer him. So strange had been his appearance, but he looked at me again, and I don't know why. I felt oddly comforted. I have never seen a dead look in the eyes of a man who had seen so much and had come to understand everything. You don't need to answer me. I know I'm on Earth in the middle of the 20th century, around 1957, he said, looking at the books on the table and the magazines. There was a current affairs magazine with Khrushchev's picture on the cover. I see you write a lot. What do you do? I'm a scriptwriter, a comic scriptwriter. Comic book writer? That's quite a coincidence. Among so many other things, coming from other houses, coming to find this one. Uh, who are you? It's not easy to answer that question. I could give you hundreds of names, and I wouldn't lie to you. They've all been mine. But perhaps the one you'll find most understandable is the one who put me through a kind of philosopher of the end of the 21st century, the Eternaut, called me to explain in a single word my condition as a sailor of time, as a traveler of eternity, my sad and desolate condition as a pilgrim of the centuries. I was lucky to get here. I have a feeling that after all this time I will be able to rest a bit. So you'll give me a place, won't you? I don't need anything else but a corner to recover because I'm tired, terribly tired. I need to rest to be able to continue searching, to rest a little. Because this is what I always do, search, search, search. There was now anguish in his voice at so many, so serene. But my thoughts were concentrated on the problem I was facing. My house is small, and I have no room for guests. I know what you are thinking before you reject me, before you say, no, no, let me tell you my story. When I tell you, everything will be explained to you, even this strange way of mine of appearing, and I'm sure you'll want to help me. Listen. I listened. All the rest of that night, I did nothing but listen as he said it, and when he finished, it was all clear, so clear as to fill me with dread, so clear as to make me feel such enormous pity for him. But I won't say anything ahead of time. I want to tell the story of the Eternaut as he told it to me. That night, the night, when my life been shattered, was a winter night, much colder than this one. So cold that the whole house was hermetically sealed. Keep this detail in mind, because everything depended on him that the house was completely closed, 3 of my neighbors and me. We played the truco, I remember, as if I were now the splendid hand that touched me in luck. I'm 33 for the Envido, and I'm hand. I can't lose, but I'll let them send. I rolled a harmless 4. It was Favali's turn. Favali, professor, divided his enthusiasms between a sailboat that he had in Olives and the electronics that he practiced in space, that I had surrendered to him in that. My attic that we pompously called a laboratory, also Lucas Hebert, the bank clerk, was crazy about the electronics. Lucas was only interested in classical radio. He was determined to build a Geiger meter of his own design, but at that time he had a much more urgent, though less transcendent, interest. And, Juan, how are we doing for the first one? Bad, Lucas. Let them sing it. It was Polsky's turn, the Jubilee who took advantage of my attic's facilities to build violins. Envido, he sang. Breath relieved. Now I could worth my cards. I played fool. Did you say envido? Le dije. Did you say envido? Real envido. Falta envido. With 33 in hand, I crushed him. I can still hear Lucas's victory howl, my partner shouting that falta envido, like a war cry. That play gave us El Chico and Man We Own. I also remember that Favali, to disguise his spite, raised the volume of the small radio on which until that moment he had murmured under the tousled voice of Louis Armstrong. I want to hear the bulletin. On the radio they heard, and now, a breaking news report, a formidable atomic explosion in the Pacific. The United States has continued to do atomic testing. An accident just reveals it. The bursting of a new type of atomic bomb has produced incalculable amounts of radioactive dust. Carried by the wind, the radioactive cloud advances swiftly toward the southeast. Further updates in our 11:30 news report. When will those explosions finally cease? Their hobbies way riskier than ours. Forget the damn radio. It's your move, Juan. Once that brief incursion into the outside world was over, we returned to our own business. The newscast hadn't given me even a hint of the comfort I felt while shuffling the cards. It felt good to be there with friends in that attic, a place that, to me, was more than just somewhere to enjoy, freely and fully, my greatest hobby, aeromodeling. My hobbies, aeromodeling. That attic was the tangible proof of my success in life. I, Juan Salvo, wasn't rich, but my small transformer factory allowed me to live comfortably, to have the kind of simple pleasures that were my entire horizon. Yes, life was sweet, that frosty night, in my Vicente Lopez vest, warm like a nest. It was a sweet thought, knowing that just one floor below, Elena, my wife, would be reading in bed. And it was also sweet to know that in the next room, in our bedroom, it was also sweet to know that in the room in our bedroom, I slept Martita, the heiress. But no Favali had few fleas, and badly disguised the fury of the recent defeat. Go ahead, Fava. Yeah. I could think a lot about all the sweetness that surrounded me. And? What's the matter, Juan? Did you fall asleep? I began to give the cards, although I still enjoyed what I could learn at that moment. The 4 of them, there in the attic, warm, well protected from the frost, and outside in the garden, I would be loving the plants, separated from the world, as if the cottage were an island to which the noises of the nearby avenue barely reached. The whining disembarkation of a night bus, the clicking of a couple's heels, fleeing from the cold, the swift passing of a car that took advantage of the little traffic. Once again, the prosaic reality of the truco. You daydreaming, Juan? We said in Vito, "Excuse me, I'm here today." A violent noise that came from the street interrupted me. What was that? Sounded like a crash. Thought I heard a scream. I'm gonna check. You sit down, Juan. It was probably just a couple of cars bumping into each other. No reason to stop the game. I told you we sang the Falta in Vito. Forgotten of the noise, I looked at my cards. 3 cards from the same suit. I have a flower. Now Favali will be mad. Sure of victory, I began the chant. That time-worn verse, by the Paraná River, But what happened? A fuse. Had to happen to me, and just when I had 33 in hand. Wasn't even thinking that I had. Shut up, and listen. No. Something's going on. That total silence, which had soon drowned out every sound, was, astonishingly, the 1,001 noises you always hear in a city, even in the dead of night, completely gone. The radio was silent. But it can't be. And yet it is. Look, over there. Don't open, Lucas. There's something in the air. Can't you see it seems to be snowing? You're right, Lucas. It looks like a phosphorescent snowfall. Cradled in the still air from above, faint, almost transparent flakes drifted down, shedding a dim, otherworldly light. Everything as far as one could see was already covered with that snowfall. Unreal snowfall, cartoon snowfall, and deadly, terribly deadly. It must be the radioactive substance that the radio said. Everything must be closed. A wild, irrational fear seized me. Elena! Martita! If only no window had been left open.
What is it, Juan? What's going on? I'll explain later. Don't open the window. I rushed to the other room. Martita's. My heart twisted in my chest. The moon. The window open. No. They'd left the shutters open, but the window was closed. I had no choice but to hold the little one tight, to squeeze her.
You're hurting me, Dad.
What happened, Juan? Tell me something.
Something's happened outside, Elena. Something terrible. All those people lying dead in the street. Favali says it must be those flakes falling down. He thinks they're radioactive. We have to keep everything shut so none of it gets in. Meanwhile, from the other rooms came the hurried voices of my three friends. Favali was asking for putty to seal the cracks. Polsky was trying to make a phone call. Lucas was moving around downstairs. Then, Juan. In every house where something was left open, no one could have survived. I think so, Elena. We were incredibly lucky.
What could have happened to Maria and Berta and the kids?
Maria and Berta were her sisters. One lived in La Lucila, the other downtown. I couldn't bring myself to say a word. Her question, for the first time, laid bare the catastrophe surrounding us, all the death that had descended upon greater Buenos Aires. They must all be dead. Almost all my uncles, my cousin Guillermo, Nicolas, my friend, and all the others. Everyone I know. It must have been like this in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Part of my brain, with curious coldness, held on to objectivity, despite all the terror. I remember that in that first moment, I didn't feel a sense of loss, of grief. Almost all authorities will have perished as well.
The telephono, I have to talk to Maria.
The telephono does not work, does not make any noise. My God, my God. Calm down, Helena. We can't lose our heads. We're all in danger. Oh my God. Maybe the disaster hasn't been as total as it seems. The human mind is absurd. I remember that at that very moment I was thinking of all the first division soccer players. The human mind is absurd. I remember that at that very moment I thought about all the first division soccer players. Would it be possible that they had all finished? That in one fell swoop the whole national team didn't exist? I shook my head. I think the brain... He kept thinking about those things so he wouldn't go crazy. We must close all. Juan, Favali is already making it lucky they are here. At that moment, we received a composed voice. The telephone doesn't work. Let me go. Don't open Polski. Impossible.
I have to go.
Edith, boys.
Close the recording, Lucas. Soon. The door slammed all over the house. So fast was everything and so stunned was I that I didn't even. Elsewhere I couldn't have gotten there in time to avoid anything. It was Elena who saw Polski come out. Look, Juan, I have to go home. I have to go home. There remained my friend Polski, immobile. One more body among all those who had succumbed under that deadly snowfall. It was still 10 minutes ago when we were playing the trick.